Welcome citizens. Quite a few people have been asking for a guide as to how to play this great game. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to basically go through core rules and show you how, talk about it, show you how it plays out, show you some of the models. And then what we're going to then be doing is a few battle reports. I'm going to go from there. So the game we're talking about is Starship Troopers. Okay, so the game was originally created in 2000 or published in 2005, so 15 years ago now, scarily, by the Steam games writer Andy Chambers, and really designed to play very much in line with the comic series, I guess, but thematically very similar to the movies that we all love. The first one, not so sure about the others, but at the end of the day, that iconic movie of mobile infantry blatting away at the arachnids and flinching back. You've got all that element in the game. So originally, obviously in the movie, for those that are more familiar with that, there's really two protagonists. You've got the mobile infantry on behalf of the Federation, and then you have the arachnid empire, which basically includes warriors, plasma bugs, brain bugs, lots and lots of bugs, and then obviously through the comic side of it and the chronicles, they brought in the skinnies, which are effectively about supposedly 7.5 to 8 foot tall. Look a bit like Games Workshop Croops, to be honest, but there's a third faction there. There's also fan written rules for rebels, so you could have a rebel farming planet, something like that. There is also another one, I think they're called the Fourth, which is fairly unoriginal as it's the fourth actual faction, if you like. And then obviously you've got things split down from there. So that's in a nutshell the game. It has some fantastic models. Now obviously because it's been out of production for some time, some of these go for insane prices, but it is a case of shopping around. And I will do a shout out now to Rebel Miniatures and All About Gaming in the States. So if you're stateside, obviously it's a bit cheaper. If you're not stateside, then give them an email. They'll do their best to get it to you relatively cheaply, and they carry most of the old moulds, and I think in particular Rebel Miniatures are dusting off some of the old ones as well, so we might start to see some more bits come back, which will keep the prices down. However, the problem is the plastics, so that's always going to be the problem, because getting hold of oh, nearly said tyrannid, arachnid warriors is going to be the only issue, but if you can get hold of them or pick up a starter set, they are fantastic. Okay, we'll do close-ups of them in a bit, but they are just horrible. All right, you just, I mean, basically, again, we're going to see a close-up in a minute, but standard mobile infantry trooper, arachnid. Okay, you've also got obviously the ones that come out the ground and basically lava spit all over the place. So tanker bugs. Okay. And my personal favourite is the plasma bug, okay, who basically shoots the federal spaceships out of the sky, and apparently enough of these fire, they can hit an asteroid and knock it out of its orbit and send it hurtling towards Earth and blow up Buenos Aires. Not quite sure on that one, but anyway, so plasma bug, little man. Okay, so basically we'll show a lot more miniatures as we go. So first thing we're going to do is talk about anatomy of a game turn, okay, and what that basically involves. All right. So the army lists are built in 3 different ways, and depending on the scenario, it depends on what priority level you can have. So priority level 1 is basically like an expeditionary force. It's like a scouting force, so anything up to 1,000 points. Priority level 2, you're going to guess what's coming next, is sort of a medium-sized force, up to 2,000 points, okay? And priority level 3, go on, guess what it is? They're right, 3,000 points or more, okay? Or over 2,000 points in a way. And what this will allow you to do is, there are some set criteria. So for example, at 1,000 points, I think you're only allowed up to 1 brain bug. and obviously that will go up as the priority level increases. A arachnid war skirmish sort of patrol is not going to have a king tanker bug. All right, so basically you just can't have one in 1,000 points. All right, so that's how they sort of do it like that. The other thing is that units can have traits and special abilities which you can pay for, as well as weapon upgrades for the mobile infantry. And yeah, so that's how the points are worked out. All right, so basically in a game turn, it's a situation where one person moves all of their units, takes it in turn. Each unit generates 2 actions. The actions are move, shoot, charge, and ready. Okay, so most things in Starship Troopers move about 6 inches. There are a few that are a bit slower, like the Brain Bug. And there are a few that are a little bit quicker if you've got certain upgrades, so like Wasp Troopers, which are effectively flying mobile infantry, guys on jetpacks, but again, sometimes we'll have other rules which we'll come on to a bit later on. Okay, so standard move, and you've got shoot action, which is fire all your guns. Okay. Charge, which is fundamentally a move. There's no real difference other than the fact that it just enters into combat, so you get within point blank range. And ready action. Now, ready action is effectively a holder. You can hold it until the next turn. Okay, so you've marked the unit as ready. Some special actions require a ready before you do the actual action, so it's almost like costs you 2 actions. All right, so for example, if power-suited mobile infantry wish to jump, they have to do a ready first. And then in the next action they get to go whee and fly off 12 inches in any direction. Okay, but effectively what they could do is they could move in their first action in turn 1, go ready in their second action in turn 1, and then obviously when it gets around to turn 2 they could immediately then just jump. All right, so basically some actions require that. Some other bits will also require you to do a ready, but it won't require you necessarily to hold it. So it'd be a ready action is to do something like, say, explosives or whatever. Okay, so you've got those 4 actions. Now, each action can be done more than once. So you could move, you could shoot, you could move, shoot, move, etc., etc. Okay, so that's basically how that will play out. All right, so movement is done by nominating a unit leader. Okay, now this is where the arachnids have a slight advantage over the mobile infantry in the fact that they are effectively all controlled by some pheromone or mind ability, and as such all of them class as leaders. Okay, so you just nominate one of the arachnids within the unit as the unit leader, and you move him first. All the rest will then move, and they have to remain within command distance, which is 6 inches from the centre of the command model. Okay. If you're moving through difficult terrain, it's nice and straightforward. It's either in difficult terrain or impassable. So difficult terrain is half move. Impassable is impassable unless you can fly and fly over it. Okay. So the mobile infantry, they have a command structure. So you can have multiple officers within a unit. So you can have corporal, sergeant, captain, etc. However, if the units lose their commanders, they will basically just stand around on a reaction mode until they have a new commander attach themselves to the unit. Okay, so they basically will dig in and only react to any threats nearby. Okay, so we'll come on to that again in a bit later. Right, okay, so we will go on to a shooting example now, and we'll show you how shooting works. Okay then, so here we are with shooting example. We have a squad of power-suited mobile infantry, and unfortunately there are 5 arachnid warriors about to close them down. However, we are going to show you how the shooting works. So the mobile infantry are armed with their Marita rifles. So the stats for the Marita rifle: 20-inch range. You can pre-measure in this game as much as you wish. Okay, so obviously it's set in the future. We have guidance systems, and the arachnids are obviously again quite well advanced and quite used at hunting, so again they can judge distances quite well, so you can pre-measure at any point. The range on a rifle is 20. Okay, there is no effect whatsoever in regards to over half range, etc. like that, so it's nice and straightforward. Okay, so in order to basically work out who can actually shoot, we're going to have a closer look at the MI squad. Now, we've got one trooper stood behind a very high wall. Now, troopers are only height 1. This wall we're going to deem as height 2. So, even though he's directly behind it, he cannot shoot over it as it is much higher than he is. The other trooper on the far end, or on the top of your screen, he's only behind a small wall, and because he's behind it, he can actually shoot over that. Okay, so he can still target, and then you've got 2 others. Okay, now the Marita rifle generates 2 shots each. Okay, so we've got effectively 4 guys who can shoot. The other one's shots are wasted. So what we do, we pick a target within 20 inches. Okay, these guns have auto rule, which increases their splash damage or their kill zone to 6 inches. Okay, so we're going to actually pick the arachnid over here. Okay, the one at the back. So we're actually going to pick him as the target. It won't make any difference because basically the splatter will get all of them. All right, we effectively are looking for the target result on the arachnids. So again, it's not a ballistic check for the actual guys themselves. It's actually against the target. So you're looking at an opposed score there. So warrior bugs have a target of a 5. So effectively what it means is we need a 5 to actually hit the arachnids. All right. Now the Maritas generate a D6 each, but it's 2 of them, so we're going to get 8 dice, and for every 5 we're going to score a hit. Now incidentally, arachnid warriors, they have a kill rating of an 8. Now what that means is if we had a weapon that could effectively get an 8, in the case of the Marita on a D6 it obviously can't, but if we rolled an 8, so some weapons will do D10s for example, some will do D6 plus 2 and so on and so forth. But if we scored an 8, it's an outright kill. Anything other than that is a miss or a hit dependent on. A 1 is always a miss. Okay, so 1 is always a fail. And what it also means for the MI is that if they get a 1, they're going to be out of ammo. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to roll 8 dice and see how we get on with the shooting. Okay, so fortunately no 1s. So what we do, we take away the 1s. Okay, if we did have a 1, then for the amount of 1s that you get, you basically pick troopers within your unit. Let's just create this one as a 1 just to show what I mean. Okay, so we've got a 1 there. So I would now pick any one of my troopers to mark him out of ammo. So I'm going to mark him out of ammo. Now, what that means is if I had a second action, this guy now isn't going to be out of fire. However, at the end of the turn, subject to him still being alive, of course, he will rearm, so effectively out of ammo is like a jam or literally needing to change mag. So at the start of the next turn, he would still be able to fire. There are some reaction rules in this as well, so effectively, this unit here may not have even had their turn yet. This could be the arachnid turn. They could have won the roll off or had the priority roll. Could have moved within threat range, okay, which I'll come on to shortly. They could have opened fire. You could have potentially had 3 or 4 guys all run out of ammo. Then when it comes into their turn, all right, it's still for example turn 1 or turn 2, whatever. They have not got any ammo left, or they've got jams. So that's really going to change things up because they're now either going to have to bug out, or alternatively come up with some other kind of strategy to try and avoid getting eaten by arachnids. Okay, so we'll just remove that one for now. Okay. So the first thing we do is take away the misses. So we look back at the dice that we rolled, and we needed 5. So we take away all of the misses, and that leaves us with 4 hits. Okay, so we've hit the arachnids 4 times. Now the arachnids, they have a armor save, so they're not. Basically, all that's happened at the minute is they've been hit. Okay, we now need to see if we can actually take one down through weight of fire. So we roll the 4 dice that have hit so far, and we're looking for 4+ okay, to actually wound the arachnids, and there we are. We've actually got all 4 saved. So in actual fact, no damage has been caused at all. Now what we do is, because we haven't actually killed any, obviously if one of them had failed, you would appoint the first one, okay, to the closest model. Okay, so that one would be dead. All right, as it turns out, it isn't. So what we now need to do is we now need to go through the flinching phase. So the first model, allocate to that one. Okay, he saved. So what he now does is he'll flinch back 2 inches. Okay, we now find this one is the closest model because he's still within the fire. So he now flinches back 2 inches. And then it's this one again. And they're moving away from the actual fire. So again, back 2, this one, back 2. And there we have it. So effectively the weight of fire hasn't actually taken any of the arachnids down. What it has done though is actually pushed them back, which is very thematic to the movie itself. Okay, so just to recap, that was action 1 for the MI. So the MI now have a second action, which they can either use a move action or they could shoot. Now this guy's still not going to be able to shoot. They're still well within range. Okay. So the options are they either try and bug out or alternatively try their luck and try and see if they can shoot at anybody else. Now, importantly here, this guy, okay, only has a line of sight now to this arachnid over here. So in order to get him into the firefight, we're going to need to target this guy here. This guy still can't see him because his line of sight is blocked, but that would still give us 8 dice. If we target any of the other arachnids, this guy's not going to be able to see. You do not block line of sight for your own troops. Okay, so in the squad itself, if this guy was behind here, it would make no difference whatsoever. Okay, you can still shoot through. Units do block line of sight there. Okay, so we're going to have another go, see if we can actually take some arachnids down. So we're looking for 5s again, remember? Okay, now this time we do have a genuine 1, so we need to mark one guy who fired as out of ammo. We're going to give that to this guy over here. Okay, so we allocate the 1. We then take away the misses. Only leaves us with 3 that have got through this time. So, starting with actually the closest model within the fire art, which is these 3, so it's this one. Okay, we need to see if we can save. He fails to save, so on a 3, he will go down and as such is taken out. The next nearest model is this one. He also fails, so he is now taken down. And then that leaves this one here who saves, but he flinches back too. Okay, now if this one had died and any further hits, these 2 were not actually in the fire zone. As well, this one was, but this one wasn't. So you can't kill something that's not in the fire zone. So any extra shots would have been wasted, as he was not in the fire zone or the lethal zone of the firing. But that is both actions gone. So what it now would mean is it goes over to the arachnid turn. Now obviously they don't have guns, so we're going to show you effectively an arachnid turn. Okay, so we'll go with the fact that this was turn 1, okay, in this example. So this guy is still going to be out of ammo, and we'll show you how the arachnids are going to deal with this. Okay. So movement wise, the arachnids have a 6-inch move, and we're going to nominate this chappie here as the unit leader. So he's going to go forward 6 inches, which is going to take him to here. And then these are going to move up as well. Okay, now they have moved within 10 inches of a mobile infantry unit. Now, mobile infantry or any unit is always on alert status. However, it is only the guys that effectively are within 10. So the only chap who can technically do anything is this guy here who's out of ammo. This guy cannot see. Alright, so effectively it is now going to be arachnid action 2. Okay, so that's the end of the second action. Now, unfortunately, the arachnids were literally about an inch away from making contact. Okay, so they have a lethal range based on their height. So warriors are height 2, and as we can see there, you centre it over the unit, and 2-inch radius doesn't cross any of the bases, literally an inch away, and equally over here. Okay, so as such, no combat. However, the MI again can react. Now, this time they've got one guy out of ammo, but they do actually have 4 guys who can effectively shoot over here. This one will unfortunately be out of their fire arcs though, because if they're going to target this unit here, he's just outside where they're targeting. Okay, and this guy over here is in trouble. So options are for the MI, they can move as a reaction, so they can move back, which could do, but they also know that it's their turn next, so they will get a rearm on this guy and also get to black the warriors first, so they'll get 2 actions next turn. So they're fairly confident that they can take these down. So what they're going to do, they're going to open up with all 4 of these, picking this one as the target. So again, 2d6 each for the Maritas, and looking for 5s. Okay, now this time that was a disaster, because 2 out of ammos and not 1 hit. Now, not total disaster. Okay, reason being that would end turn 1. All right, so basically what's happened is the MI had their 2 actions. The arachnids moved up, got within reaction distance, and as such, obviously the MI have opened up as the arachnids have come screaming in. However, turn 2 would mean that all of the out of ammos are removed, and the MI now have 2 actions in which to deal with the threat of the warriors. Okay, so they could, options are here, because they have power packs, they have the ability to jump, so they could use a ready action as their first action. However, that would straight away activate the arachnids, I have to keep saying that, sorry, and they would obviously be able to react to potentially the MI. The MI could open fire, because the reaction is only done at the end of an action, and as such, obviously the MI really probably going to have to open fire here, and try and take the arachnids down. So let's do that. Let's roll it out and see what happens. So I was going to end it there, but let's see what happens to this brave squad alpha. Okay, let's see if their shooting is a little bit better. Now they do have 10 dice this time, and again they're going to target this this one here, and this time they have 1 out of ammo, so we're going to put that on this guy here, and we take away the misses. So we do have 2 successful hits though. Okay, so closest model goes down, and then the next one goes down. Okay, so right, however, that's the end of that action. They are within 10 of this arachnid warrior, so the arachnid warrior does get to react, and his reaction is going to be to charge, and he is going to charge into here. So he has 2 potential targets. Now, arachnid warriors in combat, they have a choice. Okay, they can either put all of their energy into one attack, doing 1d10, or they can do 2d6 plus 1. Okay, so as he's got 2 targets, he's going to go for the multi-kill, and so he gets 2d6. Now, in order to hit or to wound a power-suited mobile infantryman, he needs a 4 plus. Okay. However, he needs a 7 to kill. So obviously d6 plus 1 is 7. So any 6s is an instant kill. Otherwise, the MI will get a save. Okay. So we need 4s first of all. Oh, look at that. So we've got 1 instant kill, and we've got nothing on the other one. Okay, so what we can do here is we can take this one, okay, which is the instant kill. Alternatively, this guy, as he's next to terrain, he can use his dodge save. So actually ignore that, because that's actually the sergeant, which is this guy here. So in actual fact, no, he doesn't. So we're going to take that. Now, as a defender, I get to choose. I'm going to take the one who's got no ammo, naturally. So he goes down. Okay, and now the MI have their second action. So the MI will choose to shoot with their second action, so they get 8 dice. No advantage for being at point blank range, other than the fact that you shouldn't really be able to miss, but you don't get any bonuses. So we're still looking for 5s, and we've got 1 out of ammo, so we'll put that on the guy closest to the arachnid. And we have got 3 potential hits. Okay, so this arachnid warrior is going to need to save all 3 of these to stay in the fight, and he doesn't. He goes down, and lots of green splatter. Okay, so the mobile infantry there survived the attack, but they did lose 1 guy. Now, put that in perspective. 1 mobile infantryman is 25 points. Okay, the arachnids are 75 points for 5. Okay, so weight of numbers is the key with the arachnids. All right, they can't. They've got to keep going, and they've got to just keep swarming in as per movie, as per horde attack, whether it be orcs and goblins in 40k or Warhammer or Zulus at Rorke's Drift. You've just got to keep on going. If you stop, then the mobile infantry will just sit there and shoot you, and that's not good. So 5 warriors versus 5 mobile infantry, not a particularly fair fight, but it does get to show you the shooting mechanics and the close combat mechanics. So I hope that's of use to you. Okay, so just to recap, a couple of bits. Obviously, most importantly, mobile infantry do not like to roll 1s. Okay, 1 is always a hit miss, but most importantly for mobile infantry, it is also out of ammo. All right, now that lasts for an entire turn, not a phase, not a reaction. It is a turn. So if you're in turn 2, it lasts until turn 3. Okay, so you need to remember that. All right, so you need to mark your models accordingly. Use anything you want to do that. Okay, reactions are only triggered at the end of the other unit's action. Okay, and they are triggered if you go within 10 inches of an enemy model. Again, important, not the unit. So unless the whole unit is within 10, then it can react. If not, then obviously only the people within the 10 inches can react. All right, so obviously again another one that easy to get wrong. All right, so also just bear in mind that you do not actually have to react if you don't want to. You may well be laying low for another reason. You may not want to run out of ammo. You may think, well, I've got my turn coming up, I've got 2 actions, do I want to run the risk of running out of ammo, or do I want to waste my ready order? If you are mobile infantry as an example and you are in ready state, if you react you will lose your ready status. Okay, so you may well be wanting to do that jump and then a nasty tyrannid. I'm going to stop saying tyrannid at some point, I promise. Okay, nasty arachnid comes within 10 inches of you. Obviously you may not want to react to that one arachnid. Also bear in mind you can only actually react against what you can see. So again, obviously if there's plenty of terrain around, you may well only be able to see one arachnid warrior that's poked his head out of a wood or out behind a rock face or whatever. You could end up ploughing loads of fire into one arachnid for the rest to then come and swarm and take you down shortly afterwards. So again, bear that in mind. How a game starts and how a game plays out. So obviously what you're going to need is D6s and D10s, which is useful to have different colour D6s as well, because units can have different weapon options within them, whether it be missile launchers, flamers. Some of the heroes might well have different weapons. You can have Chaz units and various things leading a unit of mobile infantry. So it's always worth having a few different colours of D6s just to differentiate the firepower. Not essentially, if not, you just have to roll them separately. D10s, a lot of the arachnid stuff is damaging on D10s or has the option to use D10s. Tape measure, models, which again you can proxy. The Facebook page in particular has paper arachnids that you can basically print out on card and cut them out, and they actually look quite cool in fairness. So again, if you're on a budget, you can do that. For the mobile infantry, there are a couple of options. If you can't get hold of the original plastics, Rebel Miniatures do a nice range of the mobile infantry. Okay, rebelminiatures.com. And on top of that, what I'm going to be using for my light infantry, which are effectively the ones that are in the first movie, I'm going to give a shout out to Mantic Games, the GCPS miniatures from Mantic Games. Alright, if you're not familiar with them, it's manticgames.com, also available through blackdragonminiatures.com. But great kit, GCPS, brilliant. You can get Starter Force, various different box sets, and they're just bloody ideal. Not only do they look like mobile infantry, if you paint them in grey colours, they are light mobile infantry, and they even come with the light mobile infantry head, so effectively like a standard Delta Force helmet, or on the other side of the sprue they come with almost what look like Halo helmets, which are almost exactly the same as the mobile infantry of the later cartoons and chronicles, etc. So you have, depending on which colour scheme you wish to do, and I'll show you some photos of the mobile infantry at a later point. You have the option to basically do that fairly cheaply. You can get the mobile infantry up and running quite quickly. They also do these things called striders, which are very much like the apes in Starship Troopers, and there's also some vehicle options. So do check out Mantic Games. On top of that, if you don't mind the models being a slightly smaller scale, they're sort of 25mm at a push, okay, then the other option is First Corps, who do, I think it's an alliance force, which again very much look like mobile infantry, or light mobile infantry should I say. The one big advantage with them is they do the FedNet crew, so basically the camera crew, and there are rules for the camera crew within the game, so do check them out as well. So that's First Corps. Alright, so give a shout out to them as well. Right, okay, so so we're going to recap over a few bits now. So lethality zones and fire zones are always taken from the centre point of the models in question. Point blank range is equal to the unit size, so it's measured from the centre point. So the Arachnid Warrior being size 2 is 2 inch, and the MI being a height 1 is 1 inch. Okay, so that's the point blank range. Anyone in point blank range can engage in close combat, and all units must remain within command range at all times. Failure, okay, means that you cannot basically get any actions, so you've got no voluntary actions until a leader returns or until you are assigned a new leader. So in the case of the MI, if they've got a captain and he dies, the sergeant would take over, so he then becomes the unit leader, then a corporal, and these are paid upgrades that you can have. So again, as the mobile infantry, they do need to spend a few extra points in their squads to ensure that they keep their command, otherwise they are in big trouble. Arachnids never suffer loss of leader effect, as basically they are just mean killing machines effectively. Okay. Right, so some other bits. Independent characters. So these are things like Carl Jenkins and various commanders. They are given actions as individuals. They'll be marked as individuals on their stat cards. Also on the Arachnid side, things like Brain Bugs are individual, so they're not classed as a unit. Okay, so but they can be given orders, and they get their actions as well. And but most importantly for the MI, they can form up new units or group units that are out of command. So as long as they move within command range of a unit that's currently sitting there out of command, it can form up to create a new unit based on that commander. Alright, so that's that one. Right, so obviously we showed you earlier on a little combat scene. So let's talk about some stats. So the first stat that we're going to look at, or stats, is the mobile infantry. Okay, so they have basically within the army lists, which are Lone Wolf Army Builder actually has an army list or an army builder option for Starship Troopers still. So again, get on there and use that. Alternatively, it's pen and paper, I'm afraid. All of the army books are available on the likes of eBay if you can find them. But never fear, if you've got a Facebook account, head along to Starship Troopers, the miniatures game on Facebook, and almost all of the books, I'm pretty sure, are available as a PDF download. Or you can open it in iBooks or whatever through the file section in there. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is look at mobile infantry, as we said. So size 1, they have a move of 4 inches. Okay, so each action they move 4. Arachnid Warriors is 6. Most of the arachnid fast stuff is 6. Obviously some of the much slower stuff is going to be 3. Okay, so your standard MI 4 inches. So if they do a move, it's an 8 inch they can move. All right. Close combat 1d6, not great. Okay, so they get basically a d6 in combat. Now bear in mind, against an arachnid warrior, they would need a 5 just to hit the arachnid. The arachnid would then get a 4+ save, and you cannot kill the arachnid because it only uses straight kill on an 8. So you would have to hit it on a 5+, and then the arachnid would have to fail its armor save on a 4+ in order to kill it. Okay. The target rating is obviously what we discussed in the shooting and close combat phase. So for MI, it's a 4+. Light mobile infantry, I seem to recall it's a 3+, so they're not very good at all. Save for the mobile infantry is a 4+, and the kill rating is a 7+. So again, as we saw earlier, the arachnid warriors, nearly said it, managed to get a 6 + 1, being a 7, was a straight kill, so no armor save allowed in that instance. You then have the traits. So for example, mobile infantry have the ability to climb. Now they can climb weirdly 6 inches, even though they can only move on the ground 4 inches, so not quite sure really what happened there. However, they can climb 6 inches, and they can jump 12 inches. However, that does require the ready action prior. Okay, so bear that in mind. So there are abilities that can be taken for the characters, and this really sort of gives your squads some character. So you can have snipers, medics, engineers, they could be dirty fighters, this kind of thing. So it sort of opens up a little bit for a campaign element, and you can sort of get a squad and see how they can perform going from game to game. And obviously again, by having medics in there, they have the chance to sort of resurrect the fallen, ready for another go at it. So again, that's the stats for the MI. All right, so on to the arachnid warriors now. So arachnid warriors, they are height 2, and they have a move of 6 inches. So again, 12 inch on a double move, quite quick when you consider that the mobile infantry are only 4, so a little bit quicker. Close combat, they have the 2 options. They have the 2d6 + 1, so you can effectively split attacks, but it's a little bit less powerful, or you can go straight for the 1d10. Now, obviously a 1d10 has a 30% chance of an instant kill on a mobile infantryman, so it's worth doing. Equally, if you're fighting against things like vehicles or walls, etc., you're probably not going to do much damage at the 1d6 + 1. So again, the d10 is probably more likely going to do more damage against bigger, tougher bad guys. Okay, targeting is 5+, so again, obviously it takes into account, if you like, their toughness, their speed, their agility. All right, 4+ save due to their carapace armor, and an 8+ in order to kill. All right, so again, standard Maritas have to go through hit, then armor save. All right. The climb rate for the arachnid warriors is 6 inch. So again, they can climb exactly the same speed as the mobile infantry. and also travel on the ground as much as they can climb, same speed. They can also tunnel, which obviously we've not discussed yet, but this is one of the really cool things with Starship Troopers. The arachnids, whilst you might think in the example earlier that the mobile infantry have it all their own way, they've got guns, they can just sit there and just, you know, spoof bullets at the arachnids all day long, which they can. However, the arachnids have one more thing in their arsenal, and that is a tunnel network. And basically you can pay for these in tunnel entrances and exits, and you can move along the table underground and then burst out of the ground and basically exact revenge on the invading mobile infantry. Okay, so they can move underground through tunnels 6 inches per action. So again, 12-inch move underground is fairly nasty. Last bit that the Arachnid Warriors have in their arsenal is Piercing 1. So those that are familiar with the Warhammer universe, etc., effectively AP, so armour piercing. So as an example, the piercing attack from the Arachnid Warriors is -1 to the effectively the save, or +1 to your dice roll when you're trying to actually injure the mobile infantry. Okay, so they are mean killing machines, bred for war. They do exactly what they said on the tin. You will lose loads. However, when they get into combat, if you can get 1 or 2 in there, then basically it's good night to mobile infantry. So that's the arachnids. So let's talk about the weapons in the future. So as I said before, there's no range modifiers in this game, so you just have a maximum range, and as such obviously there are flame weapons, so you're fundamentally using a template, very similar sort of thing. There is artillery fire, which is a little confusing to start with, but don't be put off by it, because actually it works quite well, rather than in a lot of games where shots sort of go up into the air and then just disappear. It will land, but it often will land in completely a random location. So there is that. Yeah, basically lots of firepower available to the MI. Missiles, atomic bombs, you've got flyers within the game. So without going into too much detail, you've got flyers and walkers, vehicles running around for the MI, plus loads of expendable soldiers as the light infantry, and then the mobile infantry, obviously where you want to sort of look after them and keep them in the fight, because they are quite hardy, and the warriors, as you can see, can struggle against them a little bit, against the light mobile infantry. It's carnage. The arachnids, pretty much everything that you've seen in any of the movies, the comics, the chronicles are available. So scorpion bugs, spider bugs, fireflies, ripplers, hoppers, plasma bugs obviously we sort of talked about earlier. So yeah, absolutely great game. I come back to it every sort of 12 months or so. Play a few games. It does get shelved a little bit, but that's mainly because I've just got so much that, so many games, so little time. But again, it's one of those that I just keep adding to, and it's now getting to the point where, I've almost got an entire, well, I think I worked it out, I've got 5,000 points of painted arachnids. So yeah, we have another couple of thousand probably still to do. So we are getting there. So if you enjoyed this little brief on the game, then do check out the game, do check out the Facebook group and the websites as we've mentioned throughout the video, as well as do subscribe, because what we are going to be doing is, because this isn't just, obviously a few people have requested doing a bit of a game demo, but we're actually going to do a campaign. So myself and John are going to be doing the Battle of Clondethu, which is going to be light mobile infantry, seeing if they can take it to the arachnids. So watch this space. So we're going to be doing some campaign battles, and you'll actually get to see a proper game in action. Right, so that's enough from me. Thank you very much for your time. Obviously, do check us out at blackdragonminiatures.com. And obviously we're also on Facebook, and we hope to see you soon. If there's any comments, feel free to put them below. If you think I've got anything wrong, again, put it below. At the end of the day, as I say, bit rusty. Only play it every 12 months, as I say. So basically, if there's anything you're not sure on, again, just put it below, and I'll do my best to answer. Thank you.